Good morning. Good morning. Young Matt Boldy is antithetical to missing the mark. And to start festivities on KFAN last night from Nashville, he and the team vowed to be better, so he gave us a first frame Hattie.
He walks in with a left circle shot. Saros deflected that off his goal stick, and they score! It's Boldy with a hat trick! He got the rebound, flicked it home. It's his fourth career hat trick in the regular season. There are hats pouring onto the ice here from Wild fans at Bridgestone Arena, and it's 3-1 Minnesota.
Oh, geez, but these Predators, well, they can be such a pesky bunch, and gritty and tenacious as they were, they had to apologize to their fans thanks to the captain.
Under a minute left in the extra session. Kirill Kaprizov, 14 career overtime winners, as I mentioned earlier, 4 of them this year. They'll try an up-ice pass. It's Boldy, darting in. Boldy, cross-ice. Spurgeon, a shot. He scores! Jared Spurgeon wins it in overtime! 9th overtime win of the year for the Wild. 5 straight in the win column as they hit the Olympic break as the captain beats Saros. It's 6-5, the victory tonight for Minnesota.
Joe O, Radio Joe, Budsy with the elite calls. Let's fire up the band. 3-2. Here they come. Here we go. The Wolves got the money, too, for Finchy, and reportedly have traded for or are trading for a point guard from the Chicago Bulls. Today is NBA trade deadline day. Oh, by the way, Nico's team, the Golden Gophers basketball team, upset 10th-ranked Michigan State at the Barn. And the Super Bowl is Sunday. Is that a ray of sports sunshine at which we are staring? Is that a ray of sports sunshine at which we all are staring? Yay! The Super Bowl this weekend. A myriad Super Bowl stories coming your way, including a late edition to 9 to noon, about 25 minutes from now. Former Vikings quarterback Kirk Cousins will be joining 9 to noon. We got a lot more. So make sure you listen to the Timber Tech What's on Deck set list. And by the way, with that Wolves trade, the Wild last night, Nico last night, NBA trading deadline, hour and 45 minutes from now, News du Nord is appointment listening because we got the goods. Speaking of having the goods, let's start this Thursday with the play-by-play Vox of all Voxes, ever to Vox. He's Kevin Harlan, calling his 17th Super Bowl Sunday night on the Powerhouse FM 100.3 KFAN. And we started our chat with one of my mentors by discussing a recent drive he took to Florida with his wife, Annie.
It's good. We're actually back in the car together again, heading to the airport. I got an NBA game tomorrow in Phoenix and then up to San Francisco. So she's become the co-pilot. She's getting tired of me doing these shows, but I said, sweetie, this is Paul Allen, the voice of the Vikings, the best voice in the NFL. And she said, well, then by all means, please go do it. And she's got a smile on her face right now, knowing what I think of you and your work. So I'm glad we have a chance to visit her before Super Bowl 60.
Well, I'll need an address to send the flowers to your beautiful bride.
Good.
So you got NBA. You got who's Phoenix playing? When you call that,
I don't know. They play. Hold on. Golden State.
That's fantastic.
They play Golden State. Yeah, without Jimmy Butler. But you know what?
Yeah.
The way the trade deadline is kind of maneuvering here through these last couple of days, I don't know how much of my boards are going to make any sense because they may trade half the roster either team.
Right.
The way we're going, and we just saw Mike leave the Wolves, and what an incredible ambassador he is for the city, the state, and for the NBA. It's I'm sorry to see him leave. He was he's a quality person who's had a remarkable career, and he was a great benefit to that organization in our area.
When Kevin, when calling NBA games, how much do you love saying Bilal Coulibaly?
Well, until you said it the other night with a little text, I wasn't sure if I liked it at all, but I thought, I might. Even if he's not playing, I may use it. Coulibaly! It kind of sounds like Cowabunga! It sounds kind of like a charge into war.
Yeah.
Or something like that. He's a nice young player, by the way, plays for Washington. But no, there are a lot of Antetokounmpo. Like there's so many names now of foreign origin that you need to be on top of all that stuff and make sure you're saying it right. They deserve it, and we need to do it. And it just shows you the influence of the European player into the NBA, which is pronounced.
The venerable and longtime play-by-play voice of the Philadelphia Eagles, Merrill Reese, about a half century there, calling Eagles games. The night before games, he has his wife show flashcards, like with a number and a last name that would be like Pisatino Isamoa. So he can Brandon Manu Maliuna, so he can go quick twitch. That's maybe that's something the older we get that we're gonna have to consider. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, have you, and I know you've gone through this too, that sometimes what the media relations staffs around the league will put out are not really the way they should be. Like in their ear, they're hearing it saying, with a long A or a short, a short E or consonant and in there someplace, and it's up to us to really kind of get it right. But I'd be lying if I said that before a game, I won't a couple days out just say the kid's name out. This is last name. I said if you're gonna give me one with 18 syllables in the first name and 17 syllables in the last name, the only thing I can do just by brevity and staying up with the play is say one of the two. So I'm and a lot of times they'll cut it down, like Oli Walatusupupu will now be just Oli, and that's what the team calls him, and that's what you can call him as a broadcaster. But if I've got a bunch of names that are a little bit, not easy to say, and there are many of them, I will say them out loud and try to almost think of a song and more melodically in my head.
Wow! So
it kind of rolls off my tongue. And I can say it, in a quick twitch type way. You need to, because that's what the business requires.
Well, think of the Seahawks coach. 3-2. Mike McDonald has a team. E-I-E-I-O. I mean, there's your song for the head coach of the Seattle Seahawks.
I like it. I'm using it, and if I break into song on Sunday night, many will know where it came from.
Yeah, the only reason you would do that is if it's an incredible blowout. Now, Kevin Harlan's our guest with the Super Bowl. This one Sunday, Kevin, 16 consecutive for Kevin and 17 overall calling Super Bowls. And I think it was Steph Marbury. If I got it wrong, you'll correct me. If a player leaps high to a catch, makes it, and lands on the ground really hard, will you pay homage to Steph Marbury and say, we call that the high, hard one?
I may hesitate on that. I laugh as you say it. Back in those early Timberwolves days, a lot of things we said, probably didn't make air.
Right.
And, but maybe off air they did. And I don't know that I would say that one in particular, but it would be an apt description, wouldn't it, huh?
It sure would.
Crashing to the floor, that's right. I've always got to weigh what I say to keep my job. And but I remember those days with Steph and KG and all those early players with Bill Musselman and that whole crew. Fondly in my mind, in the first 2 years, the first year we played at the Humphrey Dome downtown, and some of those games drew 45, 50, 52,000 people to watch the Wolves in those early days, and they were sure fun. And I keep going back to, you mentioned Steph. If had he stayed and got over the inequity in pay that was going on, and his day would have come, but he was a little impatient, but he and Garnett could have been an absolutely unbelievable duo and probably accelerated the success of the organization even more. But he was, and every player's got his own right, he wanted to go out and kind of branch out on his own, and he did. But I do think that in hindsight, he may have said, I should have stayed and played it out and let things happen organically instead of playing my hand and pushing the issue.
Indeed. Then he's off to New Jersey. All right, some Super Bowl stories. What was the first Super Bowl you had the privilege of calling, and how did it go?
That was in 2001 for CBS, and HD TV was unveiling. It was the very first Sports USA broadcast of an event. And they chose the Super Bowl, and me and Daryl Johnston, was that right, Andy? Daryl Johnston did the game for CBS on an HD channel. And at the time, there were probably less than 1 million HD sets. There were some TV shows that were in HD at the time, but not a lot of sporting events, and the cameras to shoot them were available. Well, CBS went out and they got the cameras. They could shoot the game in HD, and so Daryl and I broadcasted that game in Tampa, and the New York Giants. Gary Kubiak was the Giants' quarterback that day.
Oh, yeah.
And that was my first. And then my first for radio was back in the 2010 season. The Packers and the Steelers actually down in Texas.
And the Kerry Collins game, they had just beaten the Minnesota Vikings 41-0.
They had.
And
they had indeed. Yep.
And Billick's Ravens rolled in there and did a number on them. Now with the 16 consecutive, I believe for that streak, it was Green Bay beating Pittsburgh, right?
Correct.
All right. Well, let me ask you a trivia question. Do you happen to remember the celebrity who did the coin toss for that Super Bowl?
No, I would have no. My nerves for that game were probably heightened, and I was probably more concerned about who is back to get the kickoff and everything. But give me a hint.
Hints. Former football player, played for the Cowboys and the 49ers. Has a son who was on television last night for some reason throwing passes in a Pro Bowl.
Oh, Deion Sanders.
Deion Sanders.
Am I right?
Who knew? Deion Sanders did the coin toss. Incredible.
Isn't that odd? I would have never guessed that. How about that? Yeah, that was the kind of the unveiling of Jerry Jones's AT&T Stadium, although I don't know that it was called AT&T Stadium at the time, but they had a horrible ice storm. And I was trying to get my family down there. And, we've got a Packer affiliation with my dad. And he was still in an emeritus position with the organization. He had hired Mike McCarthy. He had hired Ted Thompson, the GM. He was in the room when they drafted Aaron Rodgers. So his fingerprints were all over that organization. Still, he had only been, I think, they have to retire in Green Bay at a certain age because it's owned by the community and they've got these bylaws. And so at 70, he had to retire, and so he was down there with my family, and I remember the night before the game, my wife and our kids, who were very small at the time, and my mom and dad, we all went out to dinner, saw other owners and their families, and he was so proud that one of his teams had made the Super Bowl, like the '96 team had done. So anyway, so he was, I was down, so it had a lot of meaning for our family that was the first one I was calling, and who knew that it would last another 15 straight years. So I feel pretty blessed and very fortunate in every regard.
Well, that's beautiful. Well described. Was the Malcolm Butler moment the most surprising thing you've seen in a Super Bowl, or was it the streaker at Super Bowl 58?
Well, the streaker wasn't, because we're just expecting weird stuff to happen, and that always happens during Super Bowl week. So the Butler interception was probably, and if you recall, like the play before or two plays before, one of the greatest catches in Super Bowl history happened inside the 5. I don't know if it was Kearse who made the catch.
Jermaine Kearse.
From Russell Wilson. Yep. And he makes this incredible bobbling, falling down, reel it in kind of catch while he was on his back. And the great thing, and Paul, you'll appreciate this, is that our broadcast position was at the exact goal line in the end zone.
Wow.
Everything else in that game had happened at the far end of the field. So you're looking through binocular. It's just more difficult to do.
Oh yeah.
And our broadcast positions for radio are not that great, but all of that happened right in front of us. So not only did I get to see the catch firsthand, but also then the interception by Butler. And the great story about that is they had practiced it at the very end of their walkthrough the day before. They really hadn't gone over it. And Ernie Adams, who was Belichick's kind of savant, like his alter ego, a guy that really had no title but was Bill's sounding board on that New England Patriots staff at the end of the walkthrough. Said, Bill, we really need to practice how we're going to defend this particular play, even though it wasn't on their list of whatever it was plays that we're going to walk through the day before the game. So they walked through it, and Butler in the practice, Brady had thrown the pass, and it was caught for a touchdown in the walkthrough Saturday. But on game day, when it mattered the most, Butler was ready, had seen the play just 24 hours earlier, leapt in front of the receiver, made the catch, sealed the win, and that's how New England won it with his heroics by virtue of situational plays that was practiced, walked through the day before.
What a spectacular story from Kevin Harlan, who will be on lead vocals Sunday night on KFAN for Westwood One, calling New England and Seattle in Super Bowl 60. With just a few more to close here. Thank you very much, Vox. New England and Seattle, what excites you about this one?
I think the journey of Sam Darnold is pretty compelling. When you put it, and look at the landscape of everything he had gone through, where he was drafted, the struggles in between, the resurrection of his career, finding success with the Vikings, carrying that over when a lot of people thought he couldn't do it. There were not that many teams that were after him, by the way, because I don't think their eyes were letting him believe what they were seeing, and it was legit, clearly. And so that story to me is a pretty compelling story. Second-year quarterback with the Patriots, a Belichick disciple, leading him, bringing him back in the Super Bowl, back in the playoffs again. This New England team that had 20 years of incredible, unparalleled success. And then just how both teams are going to handle it. No one thought they'd be here. Both were 60-1 odds. So, there was no thought in any, real football fan's mind that this would be the scenario. First time quarterback with the new team, new coordinator, new play sheet in Seattle. Second-year quarterback who was okay as a rookie, not tremendous, but really showed promise that he would blossom in his second year and be in contention for the MVP. These are stories that no one saw coming, but that's the greatness of sports, right? It's the intersection of not getting injured catastrophically, having exquisite quarterback play, staying with the resonance that the coaches are giving the players, that they believe it and follow the game plan. Now, we know that the schedule for the Patriots was not that strenuous, but they won when they had to win. What their defense has done in the playoffs has been incredible, allowing about 8 points a game. So, as with every Super Bowl, PA, and you know this, there are so many stories, and as a broadcaster, that's what you've really got to kind of make sure that you wall off, because there's so much. It's a wall of information that can be so influencing and so distracting.
Yep.
That at the end of the day, you're calling a game, and the only thing that's going to matter are not your little stories and anecdotes. Those are important, clearly, but what's important is your call, and that was good advice given to me years ago, and advice that I have followed, and I treat it, quite frankly, like if I'm doing a week 3 game up in the Twin Cities, and just do your game. But you can't help but be mesmerized by all the different great stories, and then you see what it means. Finally, what it means for the families to have one of their members playing in the biggest game that receives so much attention. And I'm sure for a lot of them, they feel like this is what all those drives to practice, washing your clothes, buying your cleats, giving you guidance, living, with you through every wonderful accomplishment and every difficult defeat as you were a little boy growing up, watching you mature into the man you are, and then, culminating with this great game. And that's what really becomes special.
Oh, boy, that's beautiful. Lastly, I see your daughter Olivia will be part of the Sky Sports Super Bowl call.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, I should know this, but have you guys ever called a game together?
We have. We've done a couple of Monday night games together. We've done a playoff game together for Westwood One, which runs CBS Radio and NBC. And people that don't know the business, I won't get too much in the weeds, but that's the umbrella company. They're the world's largest audio distributor in those kinds of things, getting now into the podcast business.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, the chance to work with her was just magical. And we've done a couple Mondays, we've done a couple playoff games together, and that has been a great treat. She just had her second little boy, they're 4-month-old, and her husband was playing in the EuroLeague. He just was told by the doctor he's torn his labrum, so they're going to come back and have surgery in March or April. But he's had a wonderful career. She's been able to keep her career going from the States and ESPN to overseas, and was actually sought out by the NFL and directed there by the league to Sky Sports as someone that they thought Sky could use. So she's been hosting these last couple of weeks broadcasts from London, even though they live in Barcelona, doing things from London for Sky Sports, serving as the host during these playoff weekends. So proud of her. She's a great mom, a terrific wife, has been an incredible daughter, clearly, but as a pro, I'm proud of what she's accomplished in a very difficult and tough business.
Indeed, and you should be. All right, we're going to sync the radio with the TV Sunday. Can't wait to hear your call. Thank you for everything,
You're the best.
and for multiple.
Thank you, buddy.
For multiple decades, man. We'll talk soon. All right.
I'm glad we're friends. Thank you, PA. Thank you so much, buddy.
Likewise. See you. Safe travels, Kevin Harlan. He'll be the play-by-play voice on Westwood One Sunday night on KFAN. It's the New England Patriots and the Seattle Seahawks from Levi's Stadium in Santa Clara, California. It's Super Bowl 60. That is part of the TimberTech What's on Deck set list, beginning 9 to noon on this Thursday. And here comes Mad Producer with the cash thing.
Fan wants to give you a shot at some bonus bucks with the National Cash Contest. Go to KFAN.com, enter the keyword friend. You might win some money, some bonus bucks with the keyword friend at KFAN.com. And how about old friend Kirk Cousins joining PA next, 9 to noon on the Fan.
From Radio Row or thereabouts in San Francisco, former Vikings quarterback Kirk Cousins joins us now. Kirk, Paul Allen, thanks for the time, brother. What's going on?
Hey, PA. Yeah, I just kind of out here in San Fran, had some time to kill, and you had reached out and wanted to hop on and catch up with an old friend, so happy to be on with you.
What's Moscone Center in San Francisco, Radio Row? What's it like for you out there?
Yeah, we just got in last night. I haven't gotten over there yet. We're going to head over in a little bit, but Julie and I are just hanging out at the hotel and killing some time, and yeah, good to check in with you. But I'm sure it'll be like all the other Radio Rows in years past. A lot of activity, a lot of good people, and we'll be talking some football the rest of the day.
Actually, with respect, dear friend, it probably won't be, and here's why. Because the first time you and I fist bumped was Radio Row before Super Bowl 52. And those were strange times for you early 2018 because there was news from Washington that came out. You're at Mall of America for Radio Row. And that kind of started the wheels grinding with you ending up with the Vikings the next season. You remember that?
Yeah, I do. I remember it well. My wife actually just brought that up yesterday. But yeah, I remember I was at a hotel. I don't even know which. I think I was up in Maple Grove, which at the time meant nothing to me. But obviously, after living there for 6 years, look back now, and I ended up living in the complete opposite corner of the Twin Cities when we moved there. But was in Maple Grove, was working out. I forget which night it was of the week, but went over to my phone after the workout in the hotel fitness center, and my phone had 50 text messages, and I realized, oh, something just happened. And then I was set to be on Radio Row the whole next day, so I ended up talking about it ad nauseum the whole next day. And I remember my agent got on the phone with me, obviously shortly thereafter, to kind of update me on everything. And he said, Kirk, there's a few teams you could go to that would be a single, that would be a double. But if you could get to the Vikings, that would be a home run. And so from the moment that we knew we weren't going to be back with the Commanders, it was, how do we get the home run? How do we get to Minnesota? And it certainly was just as a blessed deal, and blessed our family. And so those 6 years were really special to us.
Indeed. And you established yourself as absolutely one of the great quarterbacks in the history of this franchise. And by the way, great work on TV, analyzing playoff games. How much do you enjoy that? Because you're very, very good at it.
Oh, thanks, PA. Yeah, it was a cool opportunity that just presented itself because Matt Ryan had stepped away. had to get to his job with the Falcons. And so, they still had a couple games left, and they had that opening of kind of trying to fill with a quarterback. And so it just worked out to be able to kind of step in his absence, and did the 1 week in New York City in the studios, and the next week was fun because they, go to the AFC Championship game, so you kind of got to be closer to the action, and it was good. It was fun. Really, the fun part for me is the people you work with, Bill Cowher, Coach Cowher, Nate Burleson, Kyle Long, kind of getting to know the people also behind the scenes at CBS. I think that's what makes it fun, because you realize it's like playing where you have a team and you have teammates and you kind of all rely on each other and you got to work together. And so it was a good experience for me to get.
And it's clear with the way you played with the Birds last year that you still have many good reps in you. But when you do retire, is it going to be all ministry all the time, or have you considered a future like analyzing games either at a desk or like what you recently did, or maybe as like an in-booth analyst? Have you thought about that?
Yeah, it's a great question. I have. My wife and I discussed it, but I really don't know. I think that it's still kind of up in the air as to what I'll do when I'm done playing. As you mentioned, I'd love to keep going, keep playing, feel pretty rejuvenated, and looking forward to what's up ahead in 2026. But when the day comes that you're done, I do still kind of feel like it's an unknown as to where it'll go. And I just want to keep an open mind and kind of be available for whatever will present itself.
Former Vikings quarterback Kirk Cousins from San Francisco, 9 to noon.
Oh, my God. Kirko, chill.
How's your father, Don, these days?
Family's doing well. My dad's doing well.
Good.
He's, leading his church in Orlando, and both my siblings live down in Orlando. And so we try to get there quite a bit in the winter to spend time with family. Julie's family's in Atlanta, as you probably know, so we're there most of the year. And then we head back north, when the weather starts to turn, and I go back to my hometown in Michigan over the summer. But family's good and healthy. Everybody's doing well. And, my parents are now in full grandparent mode because my boys Cooper and Turner are 8 and 6. So, that's kind of a different stage now where, we can do a lot of unique things together. It's fun. I always wanted to play long enough for my boys to be able to remember me playing. And so now, when they were in second and first grade this year, they're really starting to pick up on it and what we do as a family, and watching the games. They love watching the Pro Bowl games a couple nights ago on TV. So it's been fun to kind of get them around the fandom of it all. And it's fun to kind of watch it through their eyes.
Hey, Kirk, one of my favorite moments that I never will forget professionally involving your father, because he and your mom would come to most, if not all, games, specifically the ones at home. And we had that game against Indianapolis. You guys are down 33-0 at halftime. Of course, you remember that, right?
Yeah, I remember it well.
All right, so your dad's at the game, goes to texting me at halftime. Everybody's frustrated and upset, and then we start the third quarter, and I think you guys go 3 and out. So it was like bad got worse, and this is starting to get problematic. And then you come back and you win the game in one of the greatest comeback in the history of the NFL, but one of the most memorable Vikings regular season games ever. Your father somehow on the third level ran like down the concourse of seats right in front of where the broadcast booth is, and was so excited at that comeback. And I looked at him and said, Don, you're the pastor, man. You're the preacher. You can't lose faith. You, of all people, you can't lose faith. Man, that was a memorable day.
Yeah, we've had some highs, we've had some lows. I mean, the nature of going out there and playing is you put it all on the line, and you never quite know which direction it'll go. That day it went both directions. First it went as bad as it could get, and then went about as good as it could get. Certainly one of the most memorable moments for me in my entire playing career would be that day.
No doubt.
And it's, I've seen those highlights. They'll show up on my YouTube feed, every now and then. And so your voice is kind of the soundtrack to that day and that comeback. And I'd say that's true of a lot of the big moments in my 6 years in Minnesota, is that, your voice becomes the narrator, the soundtrack to experiencing it. And so it's a lot of fun to always kind of tie your voice to those memories.
I appreciate that, man. And now the memories are being made in Atlanta, and Kevin Stefanski is your new head coach. So, I mean, you just never know which way things are going to go in the NFL. So assuming you're a Falcon next season, which I would fully expect you would be, this has to excite you, right?
Yeah, Kevin and I go back to, really the Senior Bowl when the Vikings were the coaching staff. When I was in the Senior Bowl with Russell Wilson and Kellen Moore were the other two quarterbacks on our team. Kevin Stefanski was the assistant quarterback coach. And so we got to know him during that week as he helped us through kind of learning that offense and only a crash course over a couple of days, doing the drills, working through the game. So kind of got a feel for him as a coach just in that week, and then knew when I was going to Minnesota in 2018 with him as the quarterback coach, felt really good about him coaching me in the position, and we had a great year together. And then that progressed to him being the offensive coordinator, and did a great job that year as well. In 19, just really felt like it was a clear, system that we were able to run effectively, and had a good balance of run and pass, and did a great job with us, and that led to him being the head coach in Cleveland, and have kind of just followed him from a distance. But happy for him to get his family to Atlanta and be able to be the head coach, and we'll see where things go in March as it all sorts itself out. But I know he's a great coach, and it's fun to have these coaches who you have a shared history with in the past. I look at several organizations, and you feel like, you got these relationships that you've built over a decade plus in the league, and it's fun to have that as you look around the league.
No doubt, like this with you and I. And also, next segment, speaking of your former coaches, Super Bowl stories are going to be shared by Gary Kubiak about 10 minutes from now. What was it like with him? 2019, 2020, he's the OC. Then his son, Clint, is the OC in 2021. Yeah. And he's probably going to become next head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders, and he might be hoisting the Lombardi Sunday night as offensive coordinator for the Seahawks.
Yeah, no, Coop's the best. The whole family's the best. I'm so grateful that our paths crossed. I remember when Kevin became the OC, I think Coach Zim, said to Kevin, hey, we got a chance to bring in Gary Kubiak. Would you be okay with that? And, it was a question that a lot of offensive coordinators might say, no, it's my show. I don't want to have to defer to somebody or take input. I just want it to be my show. And true to Kevin's, leadership and his maturity, he said, Coach Zim, I'll walk to Denver if it means we can get Gary Kubiak, to be a part of this. And so we all were blessed by Gary's involvement, by Clint's involvement. It was just an awesome, staff to work with. And I was so grateful then that Koob stayed on in 2020 to be the play caller, was able to have another great year with him as the play caller. And then having been with Clint for 2 years in the quarterback room, when he became the play caller, it was such a natural progression where we really knew each other so well, could finish each other's sentences. He knew what I liked. I knew what he wanted it to look like. And that really led to arguably my best year at the quarterback position was in 21 with Clint. So, so grateful for the Kubiaks and have so much respect for them. And, when you work with guys like that, you really see, okay, this is what it ought to be like. And that's who you want to be around, guys like that.
When you watch Drake May or you talk to those who know where the bones are buried with the second-year guy, what do you see? What do you like?
Yeah, I think, first of all, just a talented player. He's got a good way about him. I was able to do a Super Bowl event with him last year leading up to the game, and you get to know him a little bit as a person, and you could tell walking away that, okay, this guy's got a good head on his shoulder. He's a mature person. It's not too big for him. He's got a good way about him. So, not surprised to kind of see that jump happen in year two. I think he's got a good supporting cast around him, including an old friend of ours, Garrett Bradbury at center. Mm-hmm. And, Josh McDaniels and Mike Vrabel are doing a great job coaching that football team. And, just proud of the way he's played. And I'm sure he's got to be excited and a lot of good football ahead of him. Whether the Super Bowl goes his way or not, there's a lot of good football ahead for them in the years to come.
What about Darnold? Clearly mostly turned things around here and continued it with Seattle. What do you see in him?
Yeah, I just see a guy who, has always been a very capable quarterback. I remember when we played him in Carolina in 21, we went to overtime, but he made some incredible throws in that game. I think there was a fourth down where they were backed up, and if they don't convert it, the game's over. And he rips it down the middle into the size of a shoebox was the only place he could put the ball, and it landed right in that spot. And I remember thinking, that's why you go third overall in the draft, making throws like that. And he brought him back. They tied the game, and we ended up having to win in overtime. But he's always shown that ability, and I think he showed it, in a major way last year in Minnesota. And then, getting paired with Clint and Rick Dennison and Andrew Janocko, guys we know well, I think has also been a real positive to just continue to be around the right coaches, a great system. They got a good thing going there with Mike McDonald with the defense. It's a team game, and they're all kind of playing together at a high level, and they very well may be the best team in football right now.
That 21 game in Charlotte, that's a professional day I'll never forget. It's the first stadium in my quarter century doing this where, an hour and change before the game, everything stops and there's a prayer. And I've never seen that at any stadium. And then you walked off front left of the end zone to KJ Osborne. I mean, that was just that was a fun one. Cold.
I remember we had the shallow cross wide open, and Eric Kendricks was watching from the sideline. And after the game, he said, "Kirk, I'm just watching, not knowing where your reads are, and I see this shallow cross. It might have been Adam Thielen coming across wide open, and you didn't throw it to him. You threw the corner route." And I'm going, "No, the shallow cross is wide open." And then he saw KJ catch it and score, and he goes, "Oh, never mind, great job." So one of those moments where you're like, no, yes. And I didn't even get to the shallow cross because I started with the corner route and must have been feeling it because I stayed aggressive and put it there. And then KJ made a great play and finished the game. So that was a fun one just because of the nature of coming back and having the walk-off. You don't have many of those, so that was a memorable one as well.
Well, before we say goodbye, let's relive the moment. 2nd and 13, Cousins shotgun, looking to the left, steps up in the pocket. He'll fade to the end zone for KJ. Caught and touchdown! And the Minnesota Vikings have walked off on the Carolina Panthers. Kirk Cousins to KJ Osborne. A game-winning touchdown in overtime. And the Vikings beat Carolina. Man, that you just had so many good memories and moments here. Holy cow! I mean, they just start stacking them. Last one, the acting general manager here is Rob Brzezinski. Who doesn't love Rob? What do you remember about working? I mean, seriously, in a National Football League facility, to be universally liked by everybody and like nobody ever says anything bad about you. That's Rob. What do you remember about him?
Yeah, obviously. When you go into free agency, your agent's going to get to know the Rob Brzezinski of each team pretty well. And then being there 6 years, we would have a lot of discussions, certainly over off seasons talking about the business side, but then the rest of the year also talking about the organization and the football side. And he was always just a very emotionally intelligent person, understood how things should work, understood how he fit into the team aspect. He always had great stuff to share and offer, and he had seen so much, going back to previous, Vikings regimes. He had seen what works, he had seen what doesn't. And, I think similar to when, George Payton was there, and George wasn't the general manager, but he was able to help a lot with the roster, with the football side of things. I think, there's the potential for that kind of arrangement as well, where, Rob can really be the leader, and then he can lean on his scouting department, to help with the specific football details from time to time. But Rob's been around and seen so much and been in all those meetings for decades. So there's not much that would throw him for a loop, how experienced he is.
Enjoy the City by the Bay and the Super Bowl from wherever you watch it. Please tell Julie and Don that I say hello. And may God bless you and your family. Thank you very much for the time.
Yeah, thanks, PA. Just good to catch up, and have a great week, and I'm sure our paths will cross up ahead.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Kirk Cousins, 9 to noon. It's 9:42. Super Bowl stories with Super Bowl winning coach Gary Kubiak next. This time with Gary Kubiak, who either played or coached in 7 Super Bowls, and he's always been a Covenant favorite. Coach Kubiak is a 4-time Super Bowl champion as a coach and won Super Bowl 50 as head coach of the Denver Broncos. Also former offensive coordinator here with the Vikings, and his son Clint is Seattle's offensive coordinator heading into Super Bowl 60 Sunday on KFAN. And Gary, Coach Kubiak joins us now. We know you weren't feeling well yesterday. What was your stomach all jittery, kind of getting nervous for your son Clint and Sunday early evening? I mean, because that's a big one, Coach Kubiak.
Yeah, I don't know, Paul. Just a rough day, but no, I'm excited to get down there. We're going to try to make our way there here this evening, and it should be a lot of fun. I'm not much for sitting in those stands for football games, but I'll do it for my son. So hopefully they got one more in them. How you been?
I've been well. Thank you very much for asking, Gary. I appreciate it. And when you say, not much for sitting in the stands, but for my son, I'll do anything. Let's make it Sanza. because also we have Clint, former offensive coordinator here, but then we have your son Clay, who is the San Francisco 49ers offensive coordinator. So I don't know if you watch him on TV or whatever, but I'm guessing when Seattle meets San Francisco every time, you just kind of root for like a 72-70 game.
You know, it was crazy. Obviously, they played 3 times this year. I was at the game in San Francisco, the last game of the year, but no, you know, just proud of them. Fortunate, Paul, they're working for great people and great organizations. And, you know, when your kids get involved in this business, that's the one piece of advice you can give them. I mean, you're not going to be successful if you're not around great guys and learn from quality organizations. And they've both been very fortunate to have a chance to do that.
Well, former Vikings quarterback Kirk Cousins just was on the 9 to noon radio show. And, you know, he said a couple of things that I think are pertinent here for a conversation with you, Gary. One, Kirk said best season he's had in the NFL was when Clint was the offensive coordinator in 2021. And secondly, you know, when I brought your name up saying, hey, Super Bowl stories with Coach Kubiak, Gary's coming up next. If you ever need somebody to speak for you at any banquet, call Cousins. I mean, because he just gave you so much respect, and rightfully so. What do you remember about Kirk?
Oh man, just love him as a person, Paul. You know, I mean, you know, playing quarterback in the NFL for as long as he's done it, under some of the pressure situations he's done it in, he's always been just the classist act. And, you know, when we had him there with Kevin and me and Clint and Andrew and, you know, and Drew, even Drew now, who's in Detroit, we were all there with Kirk. Boy, he was just a joy to work with because he worked so hard at getting ready to play. He was very informative with his coaches. He'd let you know what he felt good about, what he didn't. And you just, you know, when you got the Sunday help, Paul, you just rooted for him because he cared so much. So, I'm very proud of Kirk. We do talk from time to time. I know he and Clint are extremely close as friends as well as colleagues. And I know he's still got some more left in him. So I'm looking forward to see what happens. He played really good there at the end of the year.
Indeed. Gary, what with your son Clint, all right, what do you remember about when Clint started here with Musgrave, then Norv Turner as offensive quality control? I think it was like 2013. What do you remember about that?
Yeah, it's really a good story, Paul. You know, when he decided he wanted to get into coaching, I helped him out here at A&M. I live about 30 miles from Texas A&M here, and Mike Sherman, good friend of mine, was the head coach. And so I tried to hook him up with Mike, see if he could become a GA and get in there and work 20 hours a day and see if he wanted to be a football coach, you know. And Mike gave him an opportunity. He was around some great people there. He was around Kingsbury, Sherman, you know, really good people. Then he, you know, wants a shot to get in the NFL and do the same thing, and you're going to have to come up the hard way. And he gets an opportunity. His wife is from Minnesota, from a little town called Ballatin. So he kind of made his way up there, went in, did some interviews. They gave him an opportunity to become, you know, to become an offensive quality control guy. And lo and behold, he's sitting there and he's working with Leslie Frazier, you know, Kevin Stefanski. I mean, you just sit there and name the people. So just very fortunate how he ended up getting there, Paul. And then, you know, to have an opportunity to become a quarterback coach, work with Kirk Cousins was his first quarterback coach job. I mean, how much better can it be? I mean, and so he's just been very fortunate, you know, and has learned from some really, really good football people and good people as well.
Indeed. What, Gary, what quality control, offense or defense, what's the best way to describe what quality control coaches do? Because they're generally always starting their careers.
Yeah. The bottom line, Paul, the best way to describe it is that somebody who's willing to come work about 20 hours a day and not make any money because they want to prove they want to be a football coach. And it is a very, very hard road. And for him, he was married and starting a family, so it is extremely difficult to pull that off. But basically, you try to find somebody out there that you want to prove to them that this is something you want to do with a career. And you know, he was fortunate to have an opportunity to do that. But that's where you find the true love. I mean, Paul, when I was here in Houston, just remember these were the guys that were in my room when I was the head coach. And I think I told you this before. I had Robert Saleh, Matt LaFleur, Kyle Shanahan, Mike McDaniel. These are all the guys sitting in my room, young kids. And us older coaches at the time, you have no idea, what type of guys you've got in that room when you find out later in life. So these young kids are really the key to the future of the game, and you have to really be on top of who these guys are that are coming up the ranks and, really want to do it. Very bright, work really hard. So that's kind of part of the process of coaching.
Super Bowl stories
with Gary Kubiak. Went to 7-1-4, won 50 Super Bowl 50 as head coach of the Denver Broncos. And your son Clint again. The last half decade for Clint. All right, from Minnesota as offensive coordinator in 2021, then yearly to Denver, then San Francisco, then New Orleans. Now offensive coordinator for Seattle this year. With a family. I mean, holy cow.
That's a lot of houses, huh, Paul?
Right. Well, what fatherly because you were in Houston for a while, you were in San Francisco, Denver, what fatherly counseling did you provide him during this constant moving?
Well, I think the first thing you try to impress upon him is that is part of the journey nowadays. I mean, in football, Paul, when you end up somewhere and it doesn't go good, you're looking for what's next. And when it goes good, people think you're ready for a jump. So it's a crazy business from that standpoint. But, you get so much better at your job by going through, very difficult times. Amen. I mean, if you're in the NFL, and you've coached for a long time, you're probably going to get your butt kicked at some point. And if you stay with it and you work your tail off, you're probably going to have some great days like he's been having this year. So it's part of the journey. Understand that ultimately you're trying to make a difference in players' lives and these kids' lives that you coach. And I think if you do it for the right reasons, you get rewarded along the way. So I try to talk to them about just make sure you're coaching in this business for the right reason. You'll win some games and have some fun.
And whenever, whatever, or wherever the next stop is for him and his family, hopefully it's for many years. What do you like about the Seattle Seahawks offense, Gary?
Well, I think they've done a great job of adjusting, Paul. First off, Clint knew Sam, from his time in San Francisco. They come in there, I know Mike wants to run the ball. They all knew that. And, they went through some times in their season where they struggled to run the ball, and they found other ways to win. They're a team that's built to win a lot of ways, special teams, defense, offense. Then they've come back here at the end of the year and ran the ball extremely well. Rick Dennison's done a great job there. Janoko's done a tremendous job with Sam, but I think their ability to adjust to an NFL season. I mean, it's a lot of football. They've played 19 games, and here comes number 20. So things are never going to go as planned. You have to be able to adjust in the NFL if you're going to continue to be successful.
Well, Gary, when you played quarterback or you coached, how important to you were tight ends and running backs when you were winning at a high level?
Yeah, I've always been a big fan, Paul. First off, tight ends give you flexibility as a offensive coordinator, Paul. There's a lot of offense you can run. You can bunch people in and run the ball. You can spread people out and throw the ball when you have those type of athletes on your team. So you look around the league, whether it's the Rams and a lot of football teams that are good at the tight end position are hard to deal with. Running the ball, I mean, you know me, Paul, I'm a believer that if you're going to make big plays in the NFL, you better be able to run the ball. And if not, people are going to sit back there and make it very difficult on you. So being physical, having good tight ends, being committed to running the football, which can be so beneficial to your team, to your defense and your team in the long haul, I've always thought is very important.
Does Darnold make you nervous, or is he dead set for the occasion?
Well, I think football makes me nervous, Paul. It's hard on everybody, man. I tell you, it's just there's so many great coaches in the NFL, in the league, so many great players. The margin between winning and losing each and every week is, 4 or 5 plays. But the one thing that when you always look at it over the test of time, over a full season, the teams that are sitting there having a chance to be a champion are usually damn good football teams. They're not built around one player or two players. And I think, Sam is a great example of that. You look at he and May, they're both very young players and guys that are, getting their first opportunity to do this. But when it's all said and done, what do you say? They're both on great football teams.
Time for two more. What's your read on New England's offense? I mean, not great so far in the playoffs, but also has played some really, really stingy defenses.
Oh, absolutely. If you look at what they've been through in the playoffs with Houston, the Chargers, and Denver, I mean, that's a heck of a road to go through to get to where you're at. But some great defenses in the playoffs. Josh has called every big game he could ever call in the National Football League. I mean, the job that Mike has done, as a former coach, you just look from the outside in, and it's just so impressive, the body of work that has happened in that place in such a short period of time. So, I think it's going to be a great game, Paul. Good people going at it head to head, great organizations. And what a year of football it's been. It's been fun to watch.
Last one. Appreciate the time, Coach Kubiak. Gary Kubiak, 9 to noon with some Super Bowl stories. He was the head coach of the Denver Broncos who won Super Bowl 50 at Levi Stadium. That's the destination for Sunday's Super Bowl. I have a trivia question for you, and here it is. Ready?
All right.
When you won Super Bowl 50, all right, do you remember who sang the national anthem?
Was it Lady Gaga? No.
I mean, once a football.
She was a halftime show, right?
I think she sang the anthem. Not sure. I might mess that up.
Okay. Well, hell, that's a pretty good guess then.
Hey, congratulations on the way everything's working with your kids. I mean, being a father, just when things go well for your kids, there's just nothing better. And enjoy the game, my brother. Thanks for the time, and I'm glad you feel better.
All right, Paul. Always great talking to you. You guys have a great day. Tell Minnesota I said hello.
You just did. Thank you. Gary Kubiak. That's football immortality right there. Into the middle portion of the radio show. And Ben Lieber, beloved Nacho, joins 9 to noon next.